Today I'm going to talk about training your cat. And yes, cats can be trained, similarly to dogs. Cats can learn tricks and basic obedience commands. So if you're interested in improving your relationship and bond with your cat and increasing your cat's happiness and health and overall well-being, then keep watching. Training your cat is a really great thing to do because it increases your cat's happiness and your cat's health, because it provides some mental stimulation and as well as some physical exercise. Training your cat is also really beneficial because it makes your cat a lot more confident. So a lot of behaviors like aggression or fearfulness or anxiety, they tend to disappear the more that you train your cat because your cat is becoming more confident. And this happens with consistent and frequent training, not just training every once in a while, but regular training. Before we get started with how to train your cat and what you need to know about training your cat, be sure to subscribe to this channel on YouTube so you can see a lot of other videos that I post about cats and dogs and all sorts of different animals. So there are a few things to remember while training your cat. The first thing is to remember that training should always be fun. So if you are feeling frustrated or angry or not enjoying the training process or the training session, then it means that it's time to stop, because your cat is also feeling this frustration and this anger and they're not enjoying the training either. So when you get to that point, then you have overdone the training session for the day and it's time to stop and come back at another time. It's best to keep training sessions short, so this could even be for 5 minutes, especially for a cat who hasn't ever experienced a training session. Even 5 minutes may be too long. Over time, and the more that you train your cat and work with your cat, you will be able to increase the length of each training session. But in general, cats don't have the same attention span as dogs, and training sessions will be fairly short. If you want to do a lot of training with your cat, then you can do multiple training sessions throughout the day, maybe 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening. You always want to try and stop training sessions at a high point and leave your cat wanting more and to be excited for next time. It's also best to do training at a time that your cat is naturally more active. So this isn't when they're usually sleeping, it's when they usually want to willingly engage with you. Often the best time is right before mealtime. Also, training is kind of a two-way interaction. You are teaching your cat and you need to be patient and you need to be consistent. If you want your cat to learn something, a trick or some basic obedience, then you need to be really consistent and do it frequently and be patient with your cat's learning. It will probably feel like it's going really slow for you, but your cat is learning and your cat will pick it up over time. So be patient and be consistent. The first thing that you need to do is find a reward. A reward is something that you're going to give your cat every time they do what you want them to do. Often rewards are food, and this works really well for most cats, but some cats might have a favorite toy that you can use as a reward. Some cats may even like to be brushed. You might need to become creative and use something like deli meat or peanut butter or wet canned food on a spoon. To discover your perfect reward and your perfect treat, you might need to try out a few different things with your cat, or your cat might really like something at first and then over time get bored of it and you might need to switch it up and try something else. Once you have that, the next thing you need to get is a marker, a sound marker. So this can either be a clicker that is often used with dog training, so you can use this same clicker with a cat, or you can use your voice. Verbal praise, something like yes or good, something where you sound very excited, but that is also short and quick. You could also do something like snapping your fingers or clicking your tongue, or some sort of sound that you don't usually make and that your cat can associate with it being rewarded, and also a word that you don't usually use with your cat. In the beginning, you are going to be making this sound or saying this word or clicking the clicker every time you give your cat a treat. or the reward. So you're going to be doing them both at the same time. Over time, you're going to fade out the reward, the treat, or the toy, or whatever you've decided as your cat's reward, and only be using the sound to mark when your cat is doing something that you want them to do. That way you don't always have to have food or something on you. You can just use your voice. So basically this sound will eventually become the reward, but in the beginning you are going to be needing to give both at the exact same time, immediately after the cat does what you want them to do. It will take a while to be able to fade out the reward, and for the most part you will be using both the treat and the sound. But eventually when your cat really knows the trick or whatever the command, whatever you want them to do, then you will only need the word or the verbal praise that you have chosen. Now, when some cats first are taught a trick or start learning, they can be very grabby and they want to grab the food in your hands, and they're not really paying attention to you or listening or trying to do what you want them to do. Instead, they're only focused on the treat or the food in your hand. This means that you have a grabby cat, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's very common, but it does mean you're going to have to add another step into the training process. But once your cat masters this step, you won't need to keep doing it every time. So this step is you're going to have to first teach your cat not to grab at the treat or the reward in your hand. So you do this by holding the treat in your hand and not letting your cat get the treat, or not giving the cat the treat until your cat steps back and doesn't touch you and doesn't grab or try and get the treat away from you. Just sits there calmly or stands there calmly, not trying to grab the treat out of your hand. And the minute your cat does that, immediately you want to let your cat have the reward. So your cat will learn that when they don't try to physically get the treat from you, you're going to give them the treat. So they'll learn that when they sit calmly and aren't grabby or pushy, they'll get the treat. So they will continue to be calm instead of trying to get the treat, because all they really want is the treat, and they're going to try the quickest and easiest way to get the treat. And once they learn that they only get the treat when they are calm, they will always be calm. With some cats, you may always need to do this little reminder before a training session, before you actually start training what you want to teach them. You might need to take 30 seconds to remind your cat that they can't grab at the treat. And for some cats, it might be a few weeks of training sessions where all you are doing is teaching them not to grab the treat, and it will be a while before you can actually teach a trick. But remember to be patient, go slow, go at your cat's pace, and you'll get there eventually. Don't rush your cat. All cats are different, and just follow your cat's lead. When you do training, make sure that you are always in a room without any distractions, so no other pets, no other people, no loud sounds or movement. Somewhere where your cat feels really calm and safe, somewhere that is quiet and comfortable. I have a video on how to teach your cat to sit and some more training 101 type tips. I'll leave that link on the screen and below. And if you are watching this video from Meowfest 2020, hi, there are some exclusive offers for you down below, so be sure you check those out. If you are watching this video from YouTube, then I'll have some links in the description of this video for you to check out. So right now I'm going to give you some basic instructions on how to teach your cat to give you a high five and how to play fetch. So first we'll talk about the high five. If your cat is a natural grabby cat, then you might want to hold off on this trick and not do it until you are positive that your cat really knows and understands not to grab the food or touch your hand or try and get the food from you. This trick is really simple to teach your cat. Basically, all you're going to do is hold your hand like a flat palm like this, just as if you were asking for a high five, but hold it just slightly above your cat's face or right in your cat's face. You might move your hand around and wave it around to get your cat's attention, but make sure that you always keep a flat palm. And all you're going to do is wait. This might take a while. It might seem like you have your hand out forever, but just wait. Your cat will eventually touch your hand with their paw. Once your cat does that, immediately reward your cat with the treat, the reward that you have chosen, and with the verbal cue or the verbal praise. Then remove your hand, wait a second or two, and then put your hand back in the exact same position and wait again. And just repeat this process. And over time, your cat will learn to touch your hand faster and faster. And eventually, there will be no waiting for your cat to touch their paw to your hand. Your cat will just do it automatically when you hold your hand out like this. At first, when your cat touches their paw to your hand, it might be a little bit sloppy and it might not be exactly what you want. It might be really quick and you want your cat to hold their paw there longer, but reward them anyway. And over time, you will clean up your cat's actions and only reward them when they give a clean and the type of tap that you want them to give your hand. But at first, reward even the slightest little touch of their paw to your hand. They'll pick up that that's what you want them to do, and over time you'll be able to clean it up by only rewarding the exact type that you want. But in the beginning, you always want to reward for any trick, even the slight version of the ideal outcome, so your cat will learn that they're getting on the right path and they're kind of discovering what they need to do. So your cat will learn what you are asking for them. Once your cat repeatedly touches their paw to your palm in a high five that you are happy with, once they do this 3 or 5 times in a row, you can start to label the action as high five. So up to this point, you're not saying anything, you're not labeling it, you're just holding your palm out and waiting and then rewarding and saying yes or whatever your verbal cue is along with the treat. And once you get 3 to 5 paws to the palm that you are happy with, you can start saying high five, holding your hand out and then doing the reward and the verbal praise. So you're labeling your palm like this as a high five. And then they'll learn when you say high five, they'll know what you want them to do. And then all you need to do is repeat and repeat and repeat. And every time you start a new training session on a new day, it might seem like your cat has kind of forgotten a little bit about what they were doing, or they've kind of regressed progress, but they'll pick it up sooner and sooner each time. Just be patient and be consistent. Repeat, 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 and praise and reward. If your cat does something that you don't want them to do, then just ignore. Don't say no, don't kind of punish or verbally punish. Just ignore actions that you don't want them to do. And if they're not getting it and you're starting to get frustrated or angry, then you know it's time to stop and maybe you've gone a little bit too far. Take a note of the time that the session was and when you started to get frustrated, and know next time you need to stop before you get to that point. You will notice improvement over time with patience and consistency. So, to teach your cat to fetch, first find a toy that your cat is interested in. And this toy you want to keep as something that you're only going to use when you are playing fetch. So when you're not playing fetch, you're going to put this toy away. So your cat will learn every time they see you take out this toy, they'll know exactly what they're supposed to do with it. This toy should be a desirable toy that your cat can easily put in their mouth and carry with their mouth and carry around. To get your cat really interested in the toy, for the first few sessions, you may need to put some catnip on it and get it really desirable. The first step in teaching your cat to play fetch is to get your cat just simply interested in the toy. So anytime your cat maybe looks at the toy, bats the toy with their paw, licks the toy, or rolls around with the toy, you're going to reward your cat. So your cat's going to quickly learn that when they interact with this toy, when they do anything to this toy, they're going to get a reward. So they're going to learn that you want them to do something with this toy. Once they know that, you fade out the reward for their interest in the toy and instead only reward them when they put the toy in their mouth. So this might take some waiting around, and you might sit with your cat, watch your cat play, and just wait for them to put the toy in their mouth. And right away when they do that, you give your verbal cue, your click, or your yes, and give them a treat. Over time, your cat will immediately start picking up the toy and putting it in their mouth because they know that that action is going to get them the reward. So you've now taught them to put this specific toy in their mouth and to pick it up. When they know that, you can fade out rewarding that action, and instead, when they have the toy in their mouth, you can wait till they drop the toy, which they probably will sooner or later, and then play with the toy a little bit, jiggle it across the floor for a second, just really short, and then toss the toy. And don't toss it far, maybe only a foot away from you or a foot away from the cat, and the cat will probably go to the toy once you toss it because they've been taught that interacting with this toy is something really fun and exciting, and they get rewards for doing it. So they're going to want to go after this toy when you toss it. And then when they go after it, pick it in their mouth, reward them. So now you're rewarding them for going after a little toss. Remember, it's only about a foot away, so you're really close to the toy. They're not going far, just maybe a few steps away, and they're putting the toy in their mouth. And repeat this process, and each time you can toss the toy a little bit farther, a little bit farther, a little bit farther, and go at your cat's pace. Sometimes you may toss it too far, and you're going to have to know that you have to take a few steps back and toss it a little bit closer. But over time, they're going to be able to bring the toy back from down the hall or across the room. Over time, you will be able to toss the toy further and further away, and your cat will bring it back to you each time because they know they get a reward when the toy's in their mouth. In the beginning, teaching this, it doesn't really look like fetch, but with patience and consistency, you and your cat will be playing fetch in no time. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments or find me on Instagram and tell me if you try this with your cat, or if you've done something similar with your cat and how it went, how your cat enjoyed it, or if your cat has any tricks or anything that they already do or that you want them to do. I want to know all about it. And like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.